Hey, happy Tuesday. Happy book review day. Today's book is Fredrik Backman's My Friends. Now, this comes out on May 6th. I got an advance copy and I got a chance to read it. He is probably my very favorite living author. If your name doesn't sound familiar, he wrote A Man Called Ove, who was turned into A Man Called Otto that starred Tom Hanks. That's probably his most famous book, but he also wrote one of my very favorites, which is Anxious People. He also wrote Things My Grandmother Told Me. There's the Beartown trilogy that is probably my second favorite of his books. Anyway, My Friends. This is a book about primarily two characters, Louisa and Ted. There are lots of other characters that are involved in their stories, but those are the two main characters. And it is really about friendship and how awful people can be, especially adults, and how difficult it can be to be a teenager. It's also about art and just kind of how art really is a creation of circumstance and context. And there's all kinds of really interesting philosophy in it. I heard someone describe him as Mitch Albom, and that's not accurate. There are some philosophical things that Backman does in his books. This one especially, where he talks directly to the reader. And those, I could see, there are little bits of wisdom and that kind of thing. But I really love this story. I mean, Backman at his best, as far as I'm concerned, is when you have these characters and the story slowly unfurls and, their relationship and their friendship just kind of grows as a result of that. And Louisa and Ted, you really have that connection. So really what ends up happening, there's an artist and he is unnamed for most of it. He goes by CPAC as like his author name, and CPAT, sorry, as his artist signature. But you don't really find out his real name until towards the end of the book, which is kind of fun. And what you get is this tight group of friends: Ted, the artist, Jor, and what is her name? I'm blanking on it right now. Allie. And those four are really good friends. And Ted now is much older, and he is essentially telling Louisa stories about his friendship with these people. And it's all connected to this one piece of art. So I'm going to do something a little different, which is, if you notice, my copy has all these little pieces of paper because these are things that I underlined while I was reading. And they don't give anything away, but they're little snippets of the text that I just love. I love the way Backman writes, and some of the way he phrases things I think is super interesting. And they made me pause and reflect. So I'm just going to read some of these, and they don't offer any spoilers. So anyway, this one, I will actually take the name out. It says, someone was murdered by reality. She was suffocated by the claustrophobia of being trapped on this planet. She died of being sad all the time. A lot of the book is about grief and loss and struggles with emotional and physical abuse. And again, just kind of the cruelty that humans can be to one another. So this quote then is, being human is to grieve constantly. And, that grief is in a lot of different ways, whether it is, the grief of losing somebody, or reflecting on a passing day and a time that you're nostalgic for, or whatever. And so he really weaves that idea of kind of grief throughout the book in lots of different phases. This one just kind of made me laugh because I'm of this age where this is true. He goes to the bathroom again. He seems to have reached that age where he needs to go, even though he hasn't drunk anything since the last time, as if his body is inventing its own liquid. When you're approaching 40, perhaps you start to melt internally. And as someone approaching 50, I guess I feel that. So there's that. Let's see. This one is, art is a nakedness you have to be free from to decide when you're comfortable with it and with whom. And I think art is a deeply personal thing, kind of like a sense of humor. So for me, that stood out there. This is between a mother and a son. And the mother, so this says, one time I asked her why she was so obsessed with what I was thinking. And she got angry and yelled, because I want to know what's happening inside you. Because you happen to me. You happen to me every second I'm alive. And that intense connection between parent and child, in this case, mother and son, is really important throughout the book. And as a parent, I definitely feel that as well. Let's see. Once he read a book that said people with neuropsychiatric disorders need to make friends with their brain, but he and his brain are not friends. They are classmates, forced to do a group assignment called Life Together. Let's see. This one. Wow, she gasped, because that's a length of time that no 18-year-old can comprehend. The fact that they have been with each other for more than twice as long as she has been with herself. And I think one of the things he does a great job of throughout this book is taking that perspective of the youth and depicting like how they think. And, you know, when you're young and you're kind of, I think sometimes trapped in that idea of thinking things are so urgent and it's now. But then you encounter something that has existed so much longer than you. I just really love that. Let's see. This one is, it's incredibly difficult being a mom. It's difficult being a human being. I think my mom was very like me at first because she was a romantic when she was young, but there's no harder person on the planet than a romantic with a broken heart. Let's see. Once, so this is, he and mom weren't like two magnets. They were like two colors. Once they were mixed together, there was no way of separating them. This one is, let's see. There's a lot of things in here where there are kind of reaffirmations or affirmations even. And so there's a character that feels very insignificant. And somebody tells him that he's enough. And so it says, that was the first time that he had ever been told that he was enough. And then shortly after that, there's another one that says, life is long, but it moves at high speed. A single step here or there can be enough to ruin everything or make all the difference. And I think that's that idea of life being short or life being long and what that means is something that echoes all throughout this book. And then those little steps, those little tweaks can really make all the difference. Let's see. The world is full of miracles, but none greater than how far a young person can be carried by someone else's belief in them. Sometimes that's all you need, right? Is somebody to believe in you. And I think especially when you're young, that is especially important. So let's see. No, you never get over death. Not if you're someone who loves. Let's see. This one is, children aren't responsible for their parents' happiness, but they still try. Children aren't responsible for their parents' happiness, but they still try. And one of the things that characters do in this is they definitely struggle to try to help their parents or anticipate a problem and help the parent avoid that or help them through that. And you know, as a teenager, there's a lot of that's a lot of weight, a lot of responsibility, and so this reminder that like they're not responsible, but that doesn't mean they don't try to, and it doesn't even matter if you tell them they're not responsible for it or not, they're still gonna push forward. So, anyway, I would definitely recommend My Friends, Fredrik Backman, And if you read it, let me know which lines stood out to you. I'd love to see those ones as well. So, yeah. Otherwise, what are you reading? Bye.